Keys and Kingdoms is one of the settings we're creating for the Aegis game system. We have no structure currently in place for the actual system, but the setting aims to combine your classic D&D style high fantasy with the vibes of a Disney-esque animated fairy tale musical, though generally with adult theming. Unless you run a campaign that's appropriate for children, you can do that, we're not doing that. This series of videos, using the only medium in which I can properly express myself, Microsoft PowerPoint, will show off the 10 Keys and Kingdoms core rules, people, and the manner in which we're interpreting them in our 5th edition homebrew campaign. Using the original 5e rules from 10 years ago, not the new ones, we don't have time to learn to master subtle differences to the system. It's going to be all about the imagination and telling a story in this world we're building. Shortly following mermaids, we have Pixies. Not to be confused with fairies. Fairies are another thing. We'll get to them later. The tiny ones are Pixies. They, of course, made the core species list due to Tinkerbell and her little spin-off franchise, Stewards of Nature and the Seasons. Here are the sample Pixies I've commissioned. Pixie design is pretty simple. They look like miniature humans. That's important. Humans, not elves. They don't have pointy ears, but might have an inhuman eye color. In fact, many do. And they have butterfly wings. Most designs taken from a real butterfly species. You got about 20,000 options there. Their attire is mostly leafy or leathery, themed after the season of their birth. They don't wear shoes, and they wear attire that makes it glaringly obvious that they also don't wear underwear. Pixies are seldom seen in D&D. In 3rd edition, they were small in size, meaning between 2 and 4 feet tall. That's a lot bigger than you usually expect pixies to be. As a 4th edition playable race, and popular 5th edition homebrew based on it, they average 9 inches tall, which would make them diminutive in size if it was still 3rd edition, or maybe not, even when the diminutive size category was a thing, they seldom used it, but in later editions, tiny is the smallest size. It's messed up. Anyway, yeah. Keys and Kingdoms Pixies also average 9 inches tall and the diminutive size category, which will be a thing in the Aegis system. It'll be of paramount importance for diminutive heroes to be both realistic and viable as characters, since the fairy tale aesthetic of K&K will strongly rely on such people being worthy adventurers. Presumably, even though being very small reduces one's strength and hit points, it improves one's dodge rating, attack accuracy, and stealth. Hopefully that's something. We'll just have to see as we bake up the rules. There is a Pixie player character in the new Critical Role campaign. I looked into how they handled that. They use the rules for fairies, a pretty obscure 5th edition playable option, with the tiny size being largely flavorful. She has the lowest possible strength score, which left room for all her other stats to be really great across the board, including constitution, so decent hit point total, I assume, only a bit of lip service paid to being tiny, mechanics-wise. In 5th edition, Pixies are not playable, instead being little critters with a lot of thematic innate magic, so I had to come up with something from scratch. The first thing being rules for tiny-sized adventurers, because I don't think there's ever been any such thing in official 5e, and every homebrew one I've seen has been basically the same as 5e's small rules. Nothing except a penalty to using heavy weapons. Being tiny needs to be a little more significant. Let's say they can only wield weapons with the light property and must wield them two-handed, which means, of course, they can't use shields, and that tiny armor weighs less than small or medium armor of the same type. How much less? I don't know. Maybe half? Whatever makes sense with the strength penalty. Clearly it'll never be light enough to actually make sense, but that ship has sailed. D&D can't really work with tiny creatures. It's just never been built with that in mind. You have to just pretend it makes sense. Furthermore, tiny armor has no strength requirements, but costs the same as small or medium armor because of the work involved in the tiny craftsmanship. Unless someone tiny made it, I guess, because that probably wouldn't be that hard, but we're going to assume someone big made it. Walking speed is 10, very slow, but of course they also have a flying speed of 30, the typical walking speed of a medium creature, so they can easily keep up. They probably fly pretty much all the time. For ability scores, let's assume a major strength penalty, say -6? Something akin to how Critical Role went for the minimum, only not that. Our Pixie strength can vary a little. And a +4 to dexterity to make up for it, because they're good dodgers, and, due to the delicate wings trait, cannot fly in heavy armor. They are acclimated to hot and cold weather, to the reasonable level the game usually mentions, between 0 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why I fucking love Fahrenheit, man. 0 to 100. It's a perfect scale, no notes. So no sunburn, no frostbite. This trait was cooked up so they wouldn't have to protect their delicate wings in the cold, they're just immune, and also to justify their skimpy outfits even in winter, they don't have to bundle up. Also, magic resistance. Advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against spells and other magical effects. It's up to your DM what other magical effects are, I guess. Ooh, brainwave. Magic resistance should be a trait for the high elves as well. I needed more high elf traits. All elves resist charm in particular. For high elves, it's all mental magic. I'm writing that down. Light. Pixies can emit bright light in a 10-foot radius. And then dim light in another 10 feet, I guess. That's usually how it works in this edition. They can turn it on or off as a bonus action. The color of the light varies by which Aegis setting you're in. The Keys and Kingdoms version is inspired by a bit from J.M. Barrie's original writings on the world of Peter Pan. The color of the light is a sexual characteristic. Biological sex, not gender identity. Female pixies emit white light, male pixies emit mauve light, and intersex pixies, which is almost a full third of the population, emit blue light. Barrie's passage on the subject implied it was more of a gender thing. I thought it would be interesting to make it a sex thing, and have the blue ones be extremely plentiful. Vanish. This one's a distinctive trait of Dungeons & Dragons pixies. They can make themselves invisible. Duration is concentration. Once a pixie reaches level 7, they can spread their invisibility to allies within a 10-foot radius. Those allies have to do their own concentrating from there. Probably need some further limitations. Gotta think about that. And your classic pixie dust application, Flight. Once a pixie reaches level 5, they can grant flight speed to a group of allies in a 10-foot radius. I suppose 10-minute duration, once per day? I'm bad at thinking of limitations. I don't know what's reasonable. Now, I know this is seeming like a lot of powers, but keep in mind, in the Aegis system, there will probably be some pretty serious penalties for being 3 size categories smaller than a human. You're going to need a lot of extra powers, and they probably won't be unlocked at higher tiers of play in the Aegis game. Now come the special abilities related to what one might call subspecies. There are spring, summer, autumn, and winter pixies. With the day and night power, pixies have advantage on strength checks and a faster flying speed as long as they are under open skies. Spring and summer pixies have this ability during the day, autumn and winter pixies have it during the night. And at level 3, they earn their seasonal special ability. There'll be more of these in the Aegis system. For now, I'm just using the special seasonal abilities of the Eladrin. I think. I forgot to cite my source there, but I'm pretty sure it came from Eladrin. Spring pixies can teleport, summer pixies deal fire damage, autumn pixies can charm their targets, and winter pixies cause fear. The pixie can use these abilities a number of times per day equal to their proficiency bonus. 5th edition talk. Pixies are born as young adults, appearing in a natural place in a burst of magical energy with lots of, knowledge and stuff, and they do not age. Their lifespans might be very short or very long. Legend has it, though there's no way to confirm it even with magic, that every time a human is born, a corresponding pixie is also born, and that a pixie dies when their corresponding human loses their sense of childlike wonder. So some pixies have tragic deaths after only a few years, while others live a full human-length lifetime, those being theorized to be linked to great artists. Their creature type is Fae. Creature type is a big deal in the Aegis system, so playable characters are a lot of types other than humanoid. They speak the Common and Sylvan languages, and their typical alignment is neutral good. They're tricky and mischievous, but ultimately really nice. Doodly-doo, thanks for joining me. Stay tuned for more vids on the peoples of Keys and Kingdoms.